Welcome to the Fishing Daily podcast with me, Oliver McBride, and thank you for joining us again. Today I will be joined by CJ Gaffney, former owner of the Mary Kare WD-30. Now, the story of the Mary Kare is well known throughout the fishing industry, and CJ has been campaigning for justice for himself and his family after a string of events that led him to losing his fishing vessel in 2012, which left him heavily in debt and caused him to have to leave the industry itself. So today we'll be asking CJ what is the current situation with the petition that he has submitted to the Committee on Petitions, and we'll also be asking him what it has been like living with the legacy of the Mary Kare for the past 14 years. Welcome, CJ. The Justice and Safety Petition. So what's happening there?
Well, we went to the Petitions Committee because we win everywhere else, so it was just something else to try. So they have brought to the Fisheries Department a 5 or 6 page reply to why they couldn't help us. So then they brought to the Marine Survey Office and they got their answer last week. I've answered both of those, and now they've brought to Brussels to find out where's Brussels and all this. So we're waiting back on that, but I think they're on leave till September, so it's going to be quite a while. But the worry is that all the people in Brussels that helped us and understood the case and all that are kind of retired or shifted on now, and everyone's totally new. So I'm just worried now that we won't get the same support that we did in the past. Like back in 2010, they were very, very helpful, and they offered help through the Fisheries Fund and stuff like that. I should have been acted on then, but there's so much water under the bridge since then. As I say, it's a different personnel now. We're just worried that it just end up in a dead end like everything else, you know.
But, you know, you seem to have tremendous support amongst the Irish MEPs, and, you know, you've TDs and Wicklow County Council has backed you. There doesn't seem to be any lack of support for your cause. It just seems to be you're getting bandied between the Department of Transport and the Department of Marine, and you know, this seems to be your issue, isn't it?
Yeah. From day one, it's always been, well, that issue has nothing to do with us. It's transport. You go to transport, and like they say, it's nothing to do with us. It's fisheries, and it just keeps getting passed around. And then we get a lot of support when we're more in opposition, and then when they get into government, then pillar to post from day one. Like just having someone that got it by the scruff of the neck and said, like, this is not right, it needs to end, and I'm going to see it through. I think at this stage that's what we really need, you know.
You think it's justified for the department to say to you, Department of Transport to say to you, oh sorry, the legislation wasn't in place there at that time? You know, it seems a tremendous gap to have for any Marine Survey Office to have that vessels under a certain size was not being covered by legislation in relation to stability.
Yeah, well, I don't think so, because that just proves that I done nothing wrong. If they're saying it was a private transaction, it was this, that, and the other, it was nothing to do with them. I done everything right. We bought several boats before. I have plenty of experience in this, and we done everything right. But where the problem we have with the MSO is they didn't do anything. Morally, there was other sisters. There was 9 sister vessels. We had proof of a second sister vessel being mirroring her own, the same results. And then there was a third sister lengthened as well. And I talked to the shipyard that lengthened it, and they told me she was just as bad. So there was a lot of people's lives on the line here, with safety issues and all that. And the issue we have with the MSO is they didn't notify years. And it was only when I talked to them and said, look, I've talked to my solicitor here now. If any about these sister ships are lost, I'm going to hand over all the information, and it's going to come out that you knew about this for years. It was only then that they notified the Committee of Safe Seas that there was a problem with the Mary Kare, but that was years after the initial one. And also, we met with the Marine Survey Office, and they said they were going to get behind us, and they said they were going to survey the vessel and do a full report. So I'd have it when I went to Brussels in 2010, I think it was, and they said that they were going to get behind us. So couple of weeks after, one of the surveyors rang me and said he had started the survey, the report, and he'd be visiting the vessel the next week. So I said I had a meeting in Brussels, but it was with fisheries. They said there was no point them going to fisheries meetings because they're transport. And if I ever got a meeting with transport, that they would accompany me to Brussels. When I went back to him and said, look, I have that meeting with transport in Brussels now, would you accompany to Brussels? They said no. And they never visited a boat, and they've never done a report.
So there was something that happened in between hand that sort of made them withdraw their support for you?
Yeah, I don't think it was ever there. They said they were going to give it, but they didn't, you know. I went back to them then, I asked them to contact the Germans, because this was all originated from. They told me that they didn't have contact details for Germany to get in contact with them, which I supplied later on. So that's the kind of response I've had. Just very poor, really poor. For such a major international safety issue, I think it's absolutely shocking that the way we've been treated and the way this has been let go on.
So, CJ, you bought the boat Mary Kare in 2007. By 2009, it had become apparent that the boat wasn't safe. So when did the other sister ships, when did the issues start arising with them? Was it before your problem, or was it after?
It was just after. But yeah, I bought it in 2007, and it was December 2007 before we went to fish. We didn't feel safe enough from the beginning. Like, you know, it wouldn't be all the time. It'd be just certain things, and you just think you're getting used to a new ship and that. And then she nearly turned over a couple of times. Once when we came fast, like we had the water over the rail and up in the hatch within seconds. And anytime we got a weight running on one side and not the other, she was frightening. We contacted them and told them there was something wrong. And we told them that she needed to be tested. So the rules for the test in Ireland didn't come into October. And I think we were tested in May. And then when all this came to light, and it wasn't that much later on, then a Dutch guy contacted us, and he sent over the spill report of a second sister ship who also had to be lengthened, and she was just as bad as us.
Were these other sister ships in Holland and in Germany as well?
Yeah, so we originally got a solicitor here, and we had a solicitor in Holland, and we got a court hearing in Holland, which we could, and there was a court surveyor appointed, and we had to pay a considerable amount of money. He came over and surveyed the vessel, went through the vessel, fine-tooth comb, he had all the original plans, he had everything. So we done that. So then we tried to go to court in Holland, and we were told we're time barred. We tried to go to court in Germany, we were time barred. And it was only years later then, under different rules, they were going from the day she was built, whereas in Ireland, it's from the day that you become aware of the problem. So it took 4 or 5 years to finally get to court in Ireland. And even though Ireland knew we had nowhere to go, the judge ruled that Ireland had no jurisdiction to hear the case. But even like the Charter of Fundamental Rules, Rule 47 states that anyone is entitled to have a hearing and their day in court. I never had that. I had nowhere to go.
And was there any other successful prosecutions on these boats, and in Germany or in the Netherlands? No,
because it's very hard to explain, but because everything was so slow, when it happened, like you were in total shock, you didn't know what to do. You were dealing with the MSO, I was dealing with insurance company, lawyers, I had TDs, MEPs and everything takes so long. And this is going on a year or two. I'd been to Brussels in the meantime. They had jurisdiction. The guys in Germany, because of what happened to me and how long it took, like the money was just burning away. They just took it upon themselves and fixed the boat and went back to sea. But people have said that to me, hanging with the bank. And then we had this, it took over a year then for MSO to actually give me permission to lengthen her. So next month or 3 years down the road, without blink of an eye. So the lads that came behind me seeing that, and they knew that they had nowhere to go, that they were time barred and everything as well. So they just fixed the boat. First lad fixed the boat. He had 3 or 4 boats. He was able to take it. The second boat had to be sold, or the third one had to be sold. But everyone learned off me and learned that, Jesus, the best way is just take the hit and go ahead and fix themselves, and that's what they did.
But not alone did you have the problem of lengthening the boat and the expense of that, you then ran into the issue where you needed extra tonnage for what you lengthened.
Yes. Yeah.
And that sort of, that ran into another avenue or another dead end basically for you.
Yeah, so we went to the insurance company and they said it was a latent defect, that it was original design fault. So they couldn't help us out insurance wise. I got that checked out with the insurance adjuster and he agreed. I was physically sitting there with no insurance. So that went on as well. So you don't even know where to start, really. It's just, we fell through every crack, every crevice. The boat's been too small, the boat's been too big. It was electric fisheries, it was transport. We've been absolutely everywhere, and because it doesn't fit in a nice little box, everyone's afraid of it, and they're afraid because of the figures as well, because she was an expensive boat, tonnage, everything that's gone. Everyone's just terrified of it now, and I think no one wants to put their name to it now. No one wants to come back on them, or no one using it again. And I think it's easier just to ignore us, and hopefully we go away. And that's the way it's been.
CJ, it's incredible. It's absolutely amazing that in a country where we hear our politicians talking so much now about mental health and family life and all this jargon, that we call that, they're creating these great things for people and they're supporting people. It doesn't seem to be that your family and yourself is getting any support at all from the government, and it must be an incredible burden to have in your life.
Yeah, it is, because I'm a very proud person, and I was proud to be a fisherman. Like, I was fishing away today, and the following day I had no boat, I had no license, I had no job, I had no career. That was all gone, and it's just like a blink of an eye. Or stuff like I used to be a lot of, say warps from Holland and things. What's CJ Gaffney? Yeah, no problem. And then I was ringing up for things at €50 and getting on the phone and people saying, "Can you afford this?" I was hiding it on the family. I took on as much as I could. You're not sleeping. It's just 24/7. When the boat went, the house was gone. The house was gone next, and it was touch and go as well. Is next door to the house. She was losing that as well. And then my brother he's a director of the company as well, and his house was involved as well. So not only at that time it looked like I was losing everything boat wise and career wise, but it looked like I was going to be homeless as well. And I just didn't know where to go. Like, I left school at 14, 15, like we all did in that generation. We went straight to sea. I'm not very well educated or stuff like that, and you were through into senior counsels, barristers. You were in a complete world that you didn't understand or didn't know how it worked, and you were trying to educate yourself as you went along as well. And it was just overwhelming. It really was. It still is.
People who tend to go into the industry do tend to go into it early in life, but then they're faced with all these rules and regulations and everything that you have to learn and you have to go by. But then all of a sudden, then you're taken from that world, and then you're thrown into into the world of law and legal stuff, and and you have to go to Europe and you have to speak to European commissioners and all these people, and it takes a lot of effort, in order to get through all those things, and it's very stressful. Like, even I find even just going to the airport alone is stressful. Not even thinking about taking the flight or all those things that's in front of you. And now a quick word from this episode's sponsor, Rescue Unit.
My name is Helge Olsen, and I am the CEO of a Norwegian company called Rescue Unit. And Rescue Unit is also the name of our product. This product will prevent you from losing your valuable catch and gear. Through Fishing Daily, we're now introducing this product with an exclusive introductory deal to the first 10 customers only. We're offering a box of 20 units at $45 per unit, delivered right to your doorstep. Don't miss out on this incredible offer to secure your catch and gear, and also to contribute to sustainable fishing practices. Act fast, because this offer won't last long.
Then 2012, you were forced to sell the Mary kit. You couldn't go any further.
Yeah, so at that stage, we knew we weren't going back to sea. My repayments had gone to extremely reasonable because I was the biggest shareholder. Money-wise, we hadn't that much of a bank loan, and we went from, I think it was 600% difference in our repayments. So we were still. So what happened was there was a rule then that a vessel had tonnage off register for 2 years. So an owner came to me and had 200 tons, and he said to me, if I put his tonnage on the Mary Kare and saved his tonnage, we'd swap back again. And the department, he said he'd give me the 38 tons for free. And that was the difference between me and going to sea. At the time, everything was okay. And the department said that the boat hadn't been surveyed, hadn't this, hadn't that, and the other, and they turned it down. And that chap went elsewhere. And I lost the 38 tons as well. Also, at that time, I went to all the other scallop fishermen. There was only 6 red, whatever it is. They had no problem with me going scallop license. They were always in the previous past, like there was no monthly gain there. That there was done on kilowatt days, there was no quota. So I approached the department because there was no quota and I didn't need the extra tonnage. If they'd done it, I offered the 160 top of the range beam and tonnage with Irish Sea entitlement. I offered that to the department for free if they gave me a scallop license, because I was going to, down the French sector and all, wasn't going to be anywhere here. So then, because in the past as well, beam and tonnage could be sold to the pelagic sector. I went to that as well. I asked them, could I sell the beam and tonnage because it's full Irish Sea. It's about 3 times the price of the ordinary tonnage. And I asked, could I sell it to the pelagic sector as well, to turn that down. And now they've turned that around, they're able to do that. So there was loads and loads of things that I asked for. I asked for decommissioning when this became, before any boat was lent. I says, this is an Irish Sea trawler, and you're getting rid of her here. In the future, it's going to be a decommissioning. Before we lent her, spend all this money, why don't we just decommission her at the 160 tons? And the way she is, couldn't do that. There was an option of a set aside, which has recently been done as well. I approached the department on that and said there was a set aside because my quota was being used by the rest of the fleet, and to turn that down as well.
So you offered solutions, very
Yes.
viable solutions to the department, and everyone was turned down.
Yeah.
It seems to be incredible that someone as eager as yourself to stay in the industry didn't get any positive responses. No, and like I've times to them, like when I send in a question, it could be a month before I get an answer, and it could be 6 pages long. And I'd always say to them, well done, you're so thorough in this, but he's never offered a solution. It's always, no, we can't do this, we can't do that, but they've never ever offered any solution, any help. I was just left like, go away and fix the boat and go back when she's ready. That's the attitude I got. And then when the boat was fixed, she had a new stability book because she was over a certain size. She was in under Tom Lenos, which is the European. I had all this. I had 2 English buyers offering me very, very good money to come and buy her, and the MCA, the Maritime Coast Guard Agency, refused to let the boys buy the boat because it said of her past history. But her history was gone. I rang up the MSO and said, this is not on that. She's before you were saying you couldn't help me because she was under a certain size. Now she's in this size, and England was in the EU at the time. This is not right. They said that they were going to get straight onto the case and find out what was going on, and even if they had to go to Brussels, never contacted anyone. Another dead end and no resolution. So your next step then was you just couldn't you couldn't continue on the way that it was going.
No, because we'd lost all our money, we'd lose all our savings. When this originally happened, this is another one. I had no job, so the agreement with the bank was that I was to mind the boat and I'd go down every day and I'd keep a logbook to keep their investment. So I had no wages. So I went to the social welfare office and tried to sign on, and they told me I wasn't entitled to any social welfare because I was director of a company. So for 2 years I had no wages as well on top of that.
CJ, it just seems impossible in this day and age that somebody like yourself and your family company that was earning money, that was paying taxes, a viable business, and then something like stability testing was not in place, which could have saved all this hassle and turmoil for you. And now the government won't hold their hands up to it. But you know, there is a solution there. It's been talked about before. Now, the European Commission offered an opinion on what could be done, and that was to compensate you from the European Maritime and Fisheries Fund. But the Department of the Marine, who has responsibility for that, won't do that either.
When we went to Brussels, we had a great reception. They done everything. They wrote to the then minister. They wrote to the Germans. They notified England, Ireland, Belgium, and Holland that they had the sister ships, that there could be a problem here. If they were 24 meters, we were 21 point something. It's Irish law. If it's over 24 meters, it's it's a European law. So the EU had no jurisdiction in this to do any more than that. That's why they felt horrible. They're changing the law now, thank God, that at the minute it's gone through legislation in Brussels now that they'll be able to take over because of the Mary Kare vessels smaller than this, because they really felt for me that I fell through all the cracks here. And so in the future, hopefully, that they will pass a law that they'll be able to investigate themselves. But they did everything. So because of all that happened, then they said that because of the certain circumstance of the case and it fallen through all the loopholes, that the case could exceptionally be addressed through the European Fisheries Fund, make a submission and it would be granted straight away. They said that if they could award money to an individual, that they would do it straight away, but they can't. Well, Ireland can.
And you've been given several excuses from the department in regards to why they're not giving you the funding. What do you think is the main reason why they don't want to give you?
The first one, they said it was a private transaction, but it wasn't. Like, this vessel was, when I bought her, she was still fishing. She had all her safety certificates. She'd been surveyed every 2 years by the Germans. Originally, she was passed by the German Marine Survey Office, but also she was surveyed by the Germanschulei, the Classification Society. I have all them original certificates. I have the original letters from the Germans writing to the owner, guaranteed the stability of the vessel. We had a court surveyor. She's been, I think it was 7 times this vessel was tested by international professors. She was tested by court surveyors. She was tested by Irish. She was tested by English. She was tested by Dutch, and all of them said that the vessel was wrong from the day one. That there was either fraud or a horrendous mistake made at the very, very beginning. This vessel wasn't modified. Anything was done to the vessel was taken into account, and the only thing we can say is she was wrong from day one. She's always been wrong. She's always been dangerous.
The scary thing is there was 9 boats built that was wrong. So somewhere in the Netherlands, there was boats being passed by people, and it should have never happened.
100%.
Has the Netherlands authorities, are they going to investigate how it became that 9 of these vessels were allowed to be built and to be passed as seaworthy?
No, I think it's 2020. There was 2 older being trawlers under 24 meters sunk in Holland, and they raised them and done a stability test on them, and the results were so bad they gave an interim warning to all fishermen in Holland, and they wrote to the European Union. So they said under certain loading conditions that they were extremely dangerous. Well, beaming in itself is very dangerous, and a beam trawler has to have 20% more reserve stability than a trawler. The Mary Kare was that bad, she didn't even pass trawling. That's how bad she was.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
To me, it's mind-boggling.
The only good thing that's come out of all this that I'm here talking to you, that I didn't perish in the boat, me and the crew. It's amazing that we didn't really.
Extremely lucky. Like,
Yeah.
you know, circumstances like that, you rarely get a second chance when something goes wrong on the boat.
Yeah, like you'd recently seen, unfortunately, the sub gone down to the Titanic. That was in international waters, that she hadn't to be built to a certain standard and all. And we're saying if she had been built to a classification society, had looked at that vessel, it would have never happened. Mine passed stringent everything, including classification, and she had all sorts of rules and stuff like that. And yet, here it is. All the evidence is there. No one's ever seen it. Done 7 surveys. I have documents that a fish box full of documents and proof that this vessel, and it's never been. No one's ever seen it. It's just sitting at home.
And now the Mary Kate's gone. She's been scrapped under the part of the voluntary Brexit scheme. You know, we've seen photographs of her being scrapped in New Ross. And how did you feel knowing now that that boat's gone?
Because it is a part of me and it has ruined my life and stuff. But at the end of the day, it hit me very hard. Even though she caused all this hardship and stuff, like it's really, really sad to see such a top class vessel like get scrapped. And it's really sad to see that the predicament, the Irish fishing, that she's not on her own. And like I just go back to, she was 20 tons overweight. She failed her stability. Her freeboard wasn't what she said it was. Her center of gravity wasn't said it was. It wasn't just one thing. And then when we were lengthening the vessels, we tried to get her to pass. You have to get her passed by classification. So some of the steel in the hatch face flats and frames didn't come up to the geometry, and we had to go to BV to get her passed. So there's issues right through the hull. It's not just one thing like it. And this 20 tons of steel, when the naval architects were able to do the calculations, it's hanging just above the deck and hanging down 2 meters underneath the deck, and it's in 120 cubic meter ton. That's where it is. It's just before the wheelhouse. And for this vessel to get the results that it did, that's where it has to be. And of course, it's not there. So that's how much a mistake was made, or fraud, whichever. Massively.
It's something that should have been, it should be spotted and should have been dealt with. But as I said, it's amazing that 9 of these boats got built and was launched in Holland, and there's no real investigation of any department there or why this happened or who allowed this to happen. CJ, what would be the right result at the end of this, do you think, for you and your family?
Well, there'll never be a right result because it's going on now 14 years. Like, so I've lost 14 years more or less in my life. Lost my job, lost my career, heritage. The young sons, maybe they would have wanted to go down that road, but I'm not even a fisherman anymore. That devastates me that I don't even go down the quay anymore. I had to cut off all my friends, fishermen that I knew for donkey's years, because that was my way of surviving and keep going. And I cut myself off from that, as it's like I was never a fisherman. So the only thing that will help would be the compensation, because I still owe a lot of money. I've no pension. I lost all my savings. I've went through 14 years of hell, and like I'm not looking for lots of earnings. I'm not looking for any. I'm just looking to get my money back. But mostly importantly of all, I'm trying to save people's lives. it's not just about me, it's much bigger. Like, I just can't believe that such a safety issue like this is just not at the forefront of everything, that it was ignored. Like, I just pray, thank God no one's been lost, but I just think it's shocking that the government, different departments, Germany, that just let this go on, and it's still going on.
Well, CJ, thank you very much for joining us today. We do hope that somebody will listen out there, that, you know, the government and departments will understand that this is not about anything more than you wanting to make sure that you're financially cleared, and you know, and that other people's lives are helped.
Yeah, I'd love to start living again. It's like, you know, it's just there 24 hours a day between now the petitions committee, to say with yourself, there was petitions last week, the week before, MEPs, like it's just never ending, you know. And not so much on me, like, but the extended family and elderly parents and stuff, like they'd be old school, like they can't understand, like, if you've done nothing wrong and you're just trying your best while you're not helped. And I just want to get just that it's finished and I just get on with the rest of my life. I've lost how many years as it is, you know. But like a TD said to me a few weeks ago, CJ, just let it go, it's only money. And I said, like, how can I let go? How can you fight for so long, like, and then just stop? It's not as if you stop and you're going to never think about it again. You'd be always wondering, well, if I went that little bit further, if I went this direction or that, like, it's a life sentence. That's the only way of putting it, like, in my opinion.
Well, thank you, CJ, and we hope that it will end and that you will be able to get back to having a normal enough life.
Yeah. Thank you, and thanks for having on today and all your support, Oliver. Thank you.